The Little Things is a psychological crime thriller that feels like you're watching some series off of the True Crime Network. Jared, I'm one of the best character actors, Leto. Denzel, I'm the freaking GOAT, Washington. Remy, no matter what role I play, I still seem the same, but I'm still a solid actor, Malik. And the director of one of my favorite movies, The Founder, John Lee Hancock. Create a world where characters feel pain, loss, suffering, and the inner turmoil of being a homicide detective. Denzel Washington plays Deputy Joe Deacon. He is a man who has since retired from being a homicide detective and has now become a deputy living the simple life within a small town on the outskirts of Los Angeles. One day, the sheriff asked Joe to collect forensic evidence over at Joe's former precinct. Once Joe arrives, he is not only greeted by former colleagues, but Remy Malek, who plays Detective Baxter, has heard the legends surrounding Joe Deacon and his reasoning for leaving homicide. Baxter is pretty new to the precinct. Also, on top of that, he's also pretty arrogant. One night, during a crime scene investigation, Baxter asked Joe to lend him some of his expertise. Little did Detective Baxter know that this one crime scene would open up old wounds within Joe's consciousness. Joe has a past that builds throughout the movie. His eagerness to try and solve an old case that he worked on is his main focus. Joe's investigation leads him to Jared Leto, who plays Albert Sparma. Sparma is the prime suspect in the disappearance of multiple women that not only match the current missing cases, but little signs match Joe's old case as well. Once Leto's character is inserted into the mix, that's when the cat and mouse game begins. Joe and Baxter become relentless in trying to nab Sparma for the murders. Sparma isn't an idiot, taking both Joe and Baxter on a wild goose chase that leads to an unexpected ending. The Little Things is not for the faint of heart. We experience the aftermath of each crime scene, but we still get that raw feeling of innocent people being tortured and murdered. We follow Joe and Baxter on their collision course towards their unpredictable target, Albert Sparma. We also get an idea of the mental state a homicide detective is in during crime scenes. I can only imagine the psychological toll that weighs down on a person who has to solve murders and deal with the repercussions of not finding the murderer. I thought the experience of this movie was enthralling. I think Denzel, Malik, and Leto all played their characters well. The performances and the progression of the characters are what made me emotionally invested in the overall story. Overall, I think this is a good movie. I loved the performances from Denzel, Malik, and Leto. I thought the cinematography by John Schwartzman was great in capturing that feeling of the 90s and making this feel like a gritty 90s crime thriller. I enjoyed the music composed by Thomas Newman. Some tracks made me feel the suspense within a scene at a heightened emotional level. This movie is not what you expect. It has a lot of things going for it that make it entertaining and pretty thrilling to watch. So, if you're like me, and you love Denzel movies that are pretty gritty and have a strong supporting cast, then look no further than The Little Things, because you might enjoy it as I did.